I had the honor and privilege of calling the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua to congratulate him on being nominated to this position. I have communicated to him my deep admiration for his resilience, focus, and hard work, which has been paid off by the party as a result of yesterday's achievement. I have taken the decision to take a break from elective politics starting 10th of August 2022. I have decided that I will not be seeking for any appointive position whatsoever. However, I will remain available to my country in future should an opportunity arise to seek leadership positions that may be available at the national level in the future. That future, I don't know when it will be.
Well, from a possible running mate for Deputy President William Ruto to a sabbatical seemingly out of the blues. What next for Tharaka Nithi Senator Kithure Kindiki? Well, we speak to the Professor of Law and two-time Senator right now on Newsnight. Senator, welcome to the program. Many thanks for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be discussing some of the statements that you made yesterday shortly. But first things first, I think we better start with the events of the weekend. And I'm sure it's a question everyone's been asking you. You were projected, Senator, as the favorite to occupy the post of running mate for Deputy President William Ruto. A post I imagine you were looking forward to occupying. What happened?
What happened is that I did not succeed in that aspiration. But I am extremely grateful that I was fortunate enough to be a finalist in that exercise. I say so because this is a country of 50 million Kenyans. Our party is a party of millions of people. And I know there are very many qualified Kenyans, even within UDA and Kenya Kwanza, some even more qualified than myself, who did not have that opportunity that I had of not only being identified from a huge pool of party members to be in the initial list of 6 hopefuls, and even more important, out of those 6 to go all the way to be a finalist with my brother Rigathi Gachagua, who ended up taking the position. So I find that that was a very big privilege and blessing from God, and also a big step by our party to show that it really doesn't matter where one comes from. What matters is what you offer in terms of ideas for the country. So what happened is that there were a number of methods that were used.
Help us understand the process. Some of your supporters are still aggrieved this evening. Walk us through the process.
The process is complex for a number of reasons. For a number of reasons, because this has not been done for a long time in our country. The process of identifying running mates is a very new phenomenon in our country. So for our party, we used an array of methods. The first one was to try and figure out from opinion polls, those of us that were being mentioned. And so the party secretly, we came to find out later, secretly used opinion polls across the country to find out from our membership, those who are active in politics, who could be considered for running mates.
And that's we assume from your statement that you emerged tops, from what you heard.
Eventually, yes. And I'm saying there were various opinion polls done even before what happened the last 2 weeks. For the last 6 months, the party has been carrying out polls on this issue unknowingly to the party members. So through that polling and also conversations between party officials and the rank and file of the party, we were identified 6 of us, equally qualified, that is myself, Rigathi Gachagua, Speaker Justin Muturi, Ndindi Nyoro, Alice Wahome, and I think that's it, and myself, 6 of us. And what the party did, therefore, is to subject the 6 of us to further vetting. And the further vetting included further opinion polls and also electoral college, if you like, using the elected leaders, especially from the region where it had been agreed the running mate will come from, based on a number of things that had informed that decision. So in the polls that were carried out by the party, once the 6 were identified, it is true that I emerged on top.
And in the electoral college?
And before we go there, these opinion polls were first within Mount Kenya, 10 counties, and also within the 47 counties of Kenya. And in all of them, I emerged top. And the electoral college was also the same. I emerged top. But there were other considerations also. You know, I want to make it very clear that opinion polls and the electoral college were not the only methods that were available, because the selection of a running mate is an extremely personal decision of the presidential candidate, and he has at his disposal many factors that he considers. In fact, we count it as a privilege, those of us who were in that short list, that the party leader decided actually to use opinion polls, electoral college. He was not bound to do that, and also the final decision is his, and also he had at his disposal many other ways of coming to his conclusion. So the point is, to answer your question, what happened is that after putting together all the methods and parameters that were available, the aggregate pointed at Rigathi Gachagua to have been the leader in the aggregate, as opposed to the leadership.
When you include these other factors,
when you include all factors
that you feel like you can't quite speak about.
Yes, because they are in the realm of the party leader. They are not in our realm.
You have not done your own investigation. Out of curiosity, what could it be possibly?
Why should I wouldn't know, but I think it's not even an important issue, because, as I have said, there is even no obligation for the party leader to go out of his way to use some of the methods that were in the public domain.
Indulge me on a theory that's been out there. You've read this in the press as well. Some say that it seems to have come down to the ability to mobilize and the issue of regional numbers, Senator, and that the West, where Rigathi comes from, has more numbers than the East, where you come from. Would you accept this as a possible reason for your deselection when it came down to the 2 of you?
I will not be convinced that that could be a reason, for the following reasons. First of all, our party is the party that carries the Kenyan dream. And the Kenyan dream is the dream of equal opportunity for every citizen. That is what underpins our party's ideology and manifesto. If what you are saying is in the talk would be true, then the Electoral College would have reflected that reality, because the Electoral College was made up of people's representative, mainly from the region, the same region you are talking about, West and East, wherever, all those counties. And the voting was overwhelming in my favor. And overwhelming. And these were people elected from the same areas you're talking about. So that theory does not hold any water. May I just say that in the total sum of all the considerations and parameters available, my brother, the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, emerged a winner, and you saw that in my congratulatory message, which I personally did to him on phone yesterday at 9 o'clock, and later on in the press statement that I made last evening. I called him and I told him, my brother, congratulations. I also told him I will support him and I will subordinate myself to his leadership now that he's our deputy captain. And thirdly, that you know, because he's mourning, as soon as he's finished with resting his dear brother, let him feel free to assign me responsibilities, and shortly I'm looking forward to that happening so that we go back to work, just to show that if I had grievances, I would not be reaching out to him, because it's me who called him. He didn't call me. It's me who called him. And two, I was not under obligation also to do that. That is a practice we have not established in this country. And I hope going forward, those who lose elections or selections should be courageous enough to reach out to those who win, congratulate them, so that that then becomes a confirmation that this contest is not personal, neither is it petty.
Yes.
It is democracy.
I want to read a comment from a viewer. Again, I said some are still aggrieved. You may have found peace in this situation, but this is from a viewer, BMJ Mureithi, who says, kindly ask Professor Kindiki, would he say to those who, after word was out that indeed the opinion polls and the MP's vote favored him as DP Ruto's running mate, there are those who feel that what ultimately happened was a disregard for democratic principles. How would he respond to that? And that's from a viewer this evening.
That is not true, because as I've said again, the appointment of a running mate is not, even in places where this exercise has taken place for centuries, is not a process that is done through universal suffrage. It's not done through universal suffrage, and that's why I think our party actually went out of its way to introduce, you know, these parameters, and they are good, by the way.
But wouldn't universal suffrage be the best way, Professor? And you're the professor, you know, because, here.
You know, the running mate is simply a running mate. There's a runner. Then you are a mate to the runner, meaning that you are an assistant to the person. So it will be a bit untidy to over-democratize that, because this is somebody's assistant. It's like somebody choosing you your assistant, and therefore I believe the method used by our party was fair, it was rigorous, it went beyond the expectations, and I'm very confident and happy with the outcome. I am not complaining, and I want to ask all those who supported me, whether ordinary party members, party officials, elected leaders, I want to urge them and plead with them to forget the process and the dynamics that we went through. In any campaign, in any contest, you expect, you expect a bit of contestation and disputation. But when it is over, you know, it's like playing in a friendly match. When that is over, we must now join our hands and rally behind our new deputy captain and deliver the prize home. For me, that is what counts more than anything
That's
else.
Your priority at the moment. Senator, I must confess, you seem a little different from the man we saw addressing the nation, should be yesterday, and some of the statements that you made yesterday that Kenyans are still reflecting on. For example, you said, as for me, no elective and appointive roles are in my interest after the 10th of August. What did you mean by that?
First, with regard to elective positions, I said as follows, and I repeat the same, that I have been a senator for 10 years now, until August the 9th. Because I was contesting for the running mate position, I had, with the consensus between myself and the party, agreed to exit county politics. It means after the 9th of August, or rather it means on the 9th of August, I will not be running for any position. So technically,
automatically,
I'm out of elective politics. So I have to take a break because I didn't get the running mate slot. I am not running for county, any county position. The timelines are already gone. And I made it very clear that that decision not to run for a county seat was a consensual decision between myself and my party. And therefore, I can't complain of a decision which I consented to.
Talk to me about the appointive role.
Now, so with regard to, just for the elective politics, I've seen some of the media reports saying that I have quit politics. And I remember repeatedly saying, I am not a quitter. I don't even understand what quitting means. I know this country, the fact that even somebody like me, with the kind of background I have, can come this far, speaks volumes about this country and the opportunity it presents for people who want to make their talents available to the nation. So, in terms of elective politics, I'll be back.
But you're taking a break,
but not,
you'll be back.
On 9th, by design, not by default, by design, on 9th, I'll not be in the ballot. But in future, I'll be back in the ballot, and it's not in the county.
So let's imagine
it's not in the county.
On 9th, the side that you support takes over government, and they want to offer you a position. You've told them as of your press statement that I'm not interested.
No, I didn't say I'm not interested. I just said no. I have decided that I am not available for any appointive position.
You stand by that tonight?
Reasons. Oh, yes, I do.
Yes, you do.
I am very clear. When I make a public statement, I've thought about it over and over again. Extremely clear. I want to repeat, I am not available. And I said yesterday, and I repeat today, that is my decision. It's my personal decision. I have consulted with my family. I have consulted with those who ought to be consulted. It's my personal decision. And the same way I respect party decisions, personal decisions also needs to be respected. And the reason why I said that, I also provided in yesterday's statement, which is I spent about 12 years of my life in public sector, but doing different things outside politics. I was an academic. I was a consultant for international organizations, very many of them. I was an advocate. I was a lawyer practicing locally and internationally. I had that career for about 12 years. When I decided to come to politics, I had decided to apply my talents for the rest of my life in helping humankind and helping fellow Kenyans solve the national problems through elective positions, through politics, through political positions, not through appointment positions. If I wanted to remain in what I was doing before, I would have been Attorney General many years ago. Perhaps I would have been a Chief Justice by now, because I'm now 22 years after I got admitted into the role of advocate. So I qualify to be a Chief Justice. I qualify to be Attorney General. I would have perhaps been appointed many other things. Remember, President Kibaki had given me a job way back in 2008 after the post-election violence. I was hardly 34 years old, and I was appointed to work in the Ministry of Justice as Secretary for National Cohesion under Mother Karua. Now, point is, why I said I'm not available is because
and I am
not, because of what has happened, I am not saying that I can go back to what I came back from. So I'll wait until the next opportunity comes. And since we have our presidential candidate, William Ruto, who is going to win, and we really pray that he wins, we want to support him fully. In fact, we have reported back to duty. And I'll be telling you what I'll be doing for the party in the next 82 days. We also hope he will do his complete 10 years, because he's a good man. He has a good plan for the country. Maybe in future, after 10, 20 years, 30 years, I don't know, if an opportunity arises,
you may take it.
I may take it at that time. In an elective position, but not in appointive position. So
what might your life look like after August 9th? Might we see you in the corridors of education, fraternity, teaching?
No. I left the academy.
You left the academy?
I left the academy. So I'll just bid for my time. You know, I'm a lawyer, by the way. I practice law. Every day of my life, I practice law. I have a very active legal practice. So that's one of the things I'll be doing, at least more freely than before. I have clients. I have an active legal practice. And so maybe I'll expand on that and take up some of my international clients whom I had slowed down in serving. That's one of the options. But still, I'll be available for my party. Remember yesterday I said that during this sabbatical, if my party requires me to assist in any way, and you don't have to be appointed formally to be able to support your party, I'll be available. And finally, and I think this is critical, because I know many party members have brought me feedback on that, that part of my statement. I want to clarify as follows, that remember when I decided to run for Senate for only 2 terms, I made it very clear from the beginning. Those who come from Tharaka Nithi know. When I was vying the first time, I told them I will go a maximum 2 terms and I'll exit the senatorship. So they knew 10 years ago that I will not serve beyond 9th of August 2022. And I honored my word because I don't go back on my word. I believe in keeping promises, I believe in fidelity, and I believe in virtue and value.
Okay.
So I kept that promise. Let me just complete something I'm building here. I kept that promise, and I was asking myself during my 2nd term, and remember I was fortunate, I became a Senate Majority Leader. After that I became a Senate Deputy Speaker, which are normally, very high offices in the legislature. Because if you are elected, you cannot be a Speaker. If you are an elected senator, the highest you can be is a deputy speaker or a majority leader. I occupied those positions. Of course, later on, 2 years ago, I was thrown out, not because I'm incompetent, not because I didn't do my work, but because of petty politics in my party. And you heard me speak to the nation. When my party threw me out,
yes.
I exited. So I was, during the last 2 years, asking myself, what other position should I be seeking for now that I have exhausted my 10 years? And by the time the party and I reached a consensus that I will not be vying for governorship, I had decided to run for governor of Tharaka Nithi. On 19th of February this year, I called a meeting actually to announce that I will run for governor. But I was prevailed the previous night. And in fact, my party leader and the entire Kenya Kwanza team decided to come to my meeting. And through that consultation, they had convinced me not to announce to run for governor and offer my services to my party and my coalition. And that's how I found myself not announcing on 19th of February. But consensually, not through duress, not through influence. I am not the kind of person to be influenced by anybody.
Senator, have you spoken?
Not even the head of state.
Have you spoken?
Can force me take a decision that I do not believe in, or that I think is against principle or the public interest.
On the back of that.
So, yes.
Have you spoken with your party leader since Sunday?
Of course.
Did he relay to you his decision before the rest of us got to hear about it?
He did.
What was your immediate reaction?
I just told him that, in fact, when we left his premises the previous night, Saturday night. It was actually the same Sunday morning, because it was after we told the press we'll announce tomorrow.
Yes.
Myself, Rigathi Gachagua, and the party leader, and a few colleagues, we remained behind. We left that place at 4 a.m. And that's partly why I was late for the function, because we agreed 2 things. We agreed whatever decision he makes now that the stalemate has been unable to be broken, whatever decision he makes, either of us must accept it, myself or Rigathi. So I had no option. I had committed myself to accepting the outcome. So what happened is that I think there was a miscommunication. When we left there at 3:30 a.m., Sunday morning, we had agreed that the announcement would be done after church. So I went to my regular place of worship. His Excellency, the Deputy President, also went to a place where he worships. I think he went to a church within his residence. But the timing, I didn't get correct. So my church service delayed a bit. When I was in church, some of my colleagues who were supporting me actually texted me and said, by the way, the announcement has just started. Where are you? So I said, I thought we said after church. He said, no, it has started. Please hurry up. So when I left the church, actually before the service was over,
okay.
Then I saw a missed call from my party leader. I called back, he didn't pick. I went online, I found that he had started speaking, and that's why he didn't pick the call. So what I did is I texted him. I told him, boss, I'm sorry I'm late, but it will look untidy for me to drive all the way from NPC Valley Road, all the way to Karen, I come late and cause a scene for nothing, because I knew already the decision, what it was, because he had told me the decision he has reached. He's a gentleman. He could not have surprised me, or Rigathi, for that matter. So what I did is that I asked for his permission. You heard him speak about my absence. I told him, proceed. I will do my concession in my way, because I know the press was there, and if I came late, that in itself would have been the news, other than what had brought us there.
By then you knew, however, that your absence was the news.
I know, but didn't I cure it yesterday? I did. And I had no obligation, by the way. As I've said, these things are not common in Africa. You know, losers disappear and they throw tantrums, and we know them. They are all over town. So I had no issues with being there and congratulating my brother. I had no obligation to call him the following morning. I could have fizzled out and gone back to my law firm and gone back to Salk. So I realized if I come late, an hour late, first of all, I'm a very disciplined Kenyan. I don't believe when our president is talking, and as an event that has started, I should show up, because it's
which makes me wonder how you missed the start time of that event as a disciplined.
Because of the I mean that process was extremely rigorous and very destructive also in itself. But you know, we left at 4 a.m., waking up at 9 o'clock. So I think there was what I heard is that we had decided it is going to be after church. So after church for me was 12:30 or 1 o'clock after I leave Valley Road. The church that His Excellency, the Deputy President, went to ended, I think, at 11 or 10 or something, because by 11, they had started assembling, and by 12, I think the process had started.
Okay. In terms of taking this forward, just helping us to understand, at any point were you and then, fellow aspirant, fellow candidate Rigathi ever told to sit down and discuss this amongst yourself, and maybe implore upon you that step down before Saturday came? Was that ever on the table?
Nobody asked anybody to step down. What we were asked to is to try and see if we could build consensus. My brother Rigathi Gachagua, we sat down. He told me why he thinks he fits the bill. I also told him why I think I fit the bill. So we couldn't make consensus as such, I must admit. So what we decided is that the party leader and the party, in consultation with the party, will help us, look at all the parameters and make a decision. And whatever decision is made, either of us will be happy and will support it. Now that the dust is slowly beginning to settle, and that's what you are telling us this evening, what are your views on the Ruto-Rigathi ticket? Fantastic. Formidable. That is a ticket that is going to liberate Kenya from the current situation, where you have a government which you don't understand, which has lost contact with the electorate completely. That ticket is the ticket that will move Kenya from a country of politics to a country where the economy is superior and politics becomes an enabler to the economic well-being of the people. It's a very good ticket. We'll support it. The next 82 days, we'll do a campaign like no other. Even in Tharaka Nithi, we will see everywhere. Live around Tharaka Nithi, even in my village, Rondoni. We will do a thorough campaign like there is no other, because we believe Kenya Kwanza, William Ruto, now with the entire team under Rigathi Gachagua, we believe that is the team that will help Kenya move to the next level. And I have no doubt whatsoever. My next logical question then would be, what are your thoughts on the Raila Karua ticket? I don't support the Honorable Raila Odinga. I've never supported him. I've never believed in his ideology.
But surely you
Martha Karua,
crossed paths with Martha Karua.
We crossed paths. I worked briefly with her in the Ministry of Justice. I know her as a person, as a professional. She is my senior in the legal profession. She's a decent person, and I have a lot of respect for Martha Karua. But I doubt that she will be able to turn the tide of UDA and Kenya Kwanza. Not even in Kirinyaga. I am afraid my elder sister, my senior colleague, Martha Karua, will not withstand the tide of Kenya Kwanza. It's too strong. So it's a people's movement. And for the first time, the use of ethnicity as the organizing principle of our politics has been dismantled. So those who think that my sister and my senior colleague, Martha Karua, can turn the tide of anywhere because she speaks a certain language are wasting time. So the reason Central Kenya and Kenya in general will vote Kenya Kwanza will not be because of X or Y. In fact, it will be in spite of.
Now that you've mentioned Kenya Kwanza, I must ask you this. You authored the Kenya Kwanza agreement, which we actually got hold of as Citizen TV. Give us the thinking behind that particular agreement, now that you're here with us in studio.
Three things. It is true, I was at the center of that activity. In fact, it is not complete.
It's not complete?
In the sense that when we filed it on 8th of May, we have 12 days to supply certain additional information before the coalition is published by the registrar of political parties. So tomorrow morning I'll be going back to the party headquarters to make sure that that process is tidied up in terms of getting the resolutions of the constituent parties that gave rise to the consent for the party leaders to sign, etc., etc. So that process is ongoing, but the coalition agreement has been filed in accordance with the law, and the law says after that, within 5 days, the registrar will write saying what other supplementary documents are needed. The registrar has written. After the 5 days, there is another 7 days for the party, which are ending on Monday, for the coalition to supply those documents. Okay. Now, the thinking was as follows.
What vision underpinned that document?
That document is a conglomeration of the ideology of the three founding constituent parties, namely UDA, Ford Kenya, and ANC. As you are aware, UDA's ideology is on the economic reform using the bottom-up model, from the bottom upwards. ANC, on the other hand, believes in economic reform that empowers citizens to make sure that every citizen has money in the pocket. That is their slogan. Uchumi bora, pesa mfukoni. Ford Kenya believes in equality, which includes equal opportunity, including economic opportunities, usawa kwa wote. So the ideological confluence between those three parties is very strong in that coalition document. Number two, that coalition document has created certain positions, including the position of Prime Chief Secretary, whose functions are well spelled out in the coalition document. But for the first time, you heard our party leader reading out what would be the functions of his deputy. They are in that coalition agreement. And I want that thinking there is to have an office, if there is an extra office created to ensure smooth running of government, it should not bring conflict the same way the current administration has carelessly brought conflict between the office of a cabinet minister with the office of an elected deputy president. So that document thrashes out that problem. And
then that is an important point to make. But let me ask you this, and this is what was slightly confusing. First, help us understand the 30% offer for Musalia and Wetangula in that agreement.
Yes, there's a target, because a coalition of parties is unlike a coalition party, must speak to how, in fact, is the law that requires the Political Parties Act, Schedule 2, on coalition agreements, requires the parties to disclose not only the governance structure, but also how, when they assume power, what parameters will guide, assignment of responsibilities in government. So it's not like the parties were trying to share spoils of government. It is a requirement of the law. So for Ford Kenya and ANC, it was decided that, should we reach a certain threshold of votes from areas where they have a massive following based on opinion polls and past elections, then they can be assigned government responsibilities up to a certain percentage.
And is there the percentage that they must deliver to activate the promises within the agreement pegged at 70%, I believe?
Correct.
That is accurate.
Correct.
No objections on their part to that?
They would not have signed.
If there was any issue?
Of course.
Coming back to that and just getting some clarification on this
and by the way,
well.
That coalition process, because I sat from the beginning to the end, is so consensual, is so deliberative, unlike the other group where they cite a document they have never seen until today. This document was a draft which put together the thoughts of each constituent party with a lot of to and forth, and a lot of input came from the constituent parties. So this was a process that was deliberative and consensual, because we don't force people into agreements.
And on the same note, Dr. Alfred Mutua, Amason Kingi targets as well that they must deliver as per the agreement.
The coalition agreement, that was the third element in it, creates a two-tier hierarchy, because you have the founding constituent parties, and then you have those constituent founding parties who signed the coalition agreement earlier on 5th of April, have the power under Article 16 of the coalition agreement to admit additional members. So the 14 other parties that have come on board, not 14, 12, okay? Because we have the first three, then we have that which the first three signed their coalition agreement on 5th of April. Then on 12th of April, we admitted 9 other parties, okay? And then on the eve of the closure of the coalition agreements, which is on 8th of May, we signed in 2 additional parties, that is PAA and Manilo Chap.
Okay, and so that's how it was to work.
So the additional parties have a different, they have their own agreements with now the founder constituent parties. So it's like a two-tier system.
When you hear some members within ANC and Ford Kenya disputing the 70% target, what does that tell you?
I don't know. Maybe it's politics. I'm now speaking as a person who did the legal part.
Because when you give us the picture that was fully consensual by consensus.
Consensual, broadly consensual, because that document is signed by the authorized, those who have, the officials of the party who have the mandate to commit the party. Now, some of the documents we are submitting to the registrar this week, by Thursday, by Friday, some of the documents and we have received from ANC and for Kenya already, includes resolutions of the NEC, authorizing the officials to sign, the minutes of the meeting, the notice of the meeting that convened those organs, their list of attendees. So there is no room for fraud or mischief. Even a party perhaps acquired, or rather joined the coalition mischievously without meeting those rigorous requirements, they will be struck out.
Senator, tell me this as we begin to wind down. the bigger picture has been what we've witnessed over the last 10 years in terms of the relationship between the president and his deputy. And it's gotten to a place now where it's completely strained. Is there anything at this stage that you feel would make or reduce this friction as part of presidential politics going forward?
Yes, and that is exactly what our coalition has done. First and foremost, our coalition, which is consensual, has made it clear that for the first time, the deputy president will have real responsibilities. And that idea, actually, was the idea of the presidential candidate, that he wouldn't want...
Which we have seen on the Azimio side as well.
They have taken our intellectual property. Yes, and ours, it's theirs. They announced it in a public rally yesterday. Ours is in the coalition agreement. What was announced yesterday by the other group, I can authoritatively state, is not in their agreement, which already is secret.
Which you have...
But we have seen it.
It's secret, but you've seen it?
Yes, you've seen it. It's secret from the public, even from its members. We've seen it.
Okay. I find that very interesting.
Why? It's filed with the registrar of political parties.
And okay, so... And
it's a public document, but they have made it appear like secret, which is criminal.
Back to my original question.
If you obtain somebody's signature by concealment of material facts, that amounts to a criminal offense. And there is a case now by one of our constituent parties, PAA. The judgment is on 24th of May 2022. Most likely, the Azimio agreement will be declared null and void, just like the BBI and all the illegal things that the handshake partners have been doing for the last 2 years.
It's before the courts. We'll wait for the courts to
that is my assessment as a lawyer. That is my assessment, and that's what our lawyers have submitted in court. Okay.
Which takes me back to my original question, the friction between a president and his deputy. And you were crucial even in what Jubilee became and where Kenya Kwanza is headed now. Any solutions in terms of ensuring that we will not have a repeat in the days to come?
The solution first is every presidential candidate must declare and commit that they will respect institutions. In fact, if you look at our guiding principles in Kenya Kwanza, one of the very prominent things that we have committed to is to leave independent offices, constitutional offices, and independent institutions be left to work. We have made that commitment in our coalition agreement. So the solution lies in public commitments by those who want to lead this country, that they will not try to misuse public institutions, they will not try to kill public offices the way my former party has completely ruined the office of the deputy president. And I hope my brother Rigathi Gachagua, with our leader William Ruto, will work extremely hard to rebuild that office, because it's in shambles and it is also a breach of the Constitution. What President Uhuru Kenyatta has done amounts to a breach of the Constitution. It is an impeachable offense.
In final words now, and a few viewers asking these questions. One viewer asking right now, is he available? Is he not available? Please clarify. They may have missed that part, so let me still fire that.
For what?
Whatever duties. I
thought I said I'm there.
You're there?
Yeah. And I'm reporting back to work tomorrow. It's just yesterday and today when I was just trying to reorganize myself.
And if after August 10th the party requires you...
I'll be available. And you know, as I said, the decision not to vie...
Few of those have come, so I needed to just...
The decision not to vie for governorship of Tharaka Nithi, which I was set to announce, was a decision by consensus between me and the party. So on this issue of appointments, for example, I have made my decision, and I made it in public, and I meant it. And I don't eat my words. I'm a very firm person. All those who know me know I'm an extremely firm person. But if my party wants me to reconsider that decision and has a discussion with me, I am a loyal party member. I can hear those views. I can consider what that means vis-a-vis my decision, which I'm entitled to. So, yeah, it's just that. It's my personal decision. I don't know what the party decision is. If the party wants to have that discussion with me, I'll entertain it. I'm extremely loyal. I have never been faulted on loyalty. I may have so many shortcomings. One of them is not disloyalty.
Professor Kithure Kindiki, Senator Tharaka Nithi, thank you so much for your time. We have some feedback, I hear? Yes, let's take those as we begin to wind down. These are some of your thoughts and comments. 22422 is the SMS line, hashtag Newsnight. Amaganga Mustafa, you say he is self... have we put that up? Okay, let's put that up again. Okay, Okelo Mwalimu, can Kindiki give his honest view on the place of women in the future political scene after Martha Karua's nomination as a potential DP? Secondly, does he regret forfeiting his gubernatorial ambition now that it's clear that he won't be on the ballot? Let's just respond to that very briefly.
I have no regrets. I said as much because this was a consensual decision and I am not going back to county politics for the rest of my life.
Why do you think Kenya Kwanza, or how strong was the discussion in Kenya Kwanza of having a woman running mate?
Very strong. In the list of 6, 2 were women. And I could see the struggle within the party hierarchy to try and see whether using the various parameters we would even settle on a woman candidate. But just like me, the 2 colleagues who are also eminently qualified, the Governor of Kirinyaga and Waiguru, Alice Muthoni Wahome, Member of Parliament for Kandara, were not successful just like me. And the commitment, that is what led to the commitment that the party made during the unveiling of the running mate, that 50% of our cabinet shall be women. So the place of women in this country is great. And also the achievement by my senior colleague, Martha Karua, as a running mate of a major party is something that I applaud from where I sit, notwithstanding that we will defeat them in the elections.
Okay, I knew you were going to add that last part. Let's look at another SMS here. A Kenyan man, you say, please ask Professor Kindiki if he was denied DP slot as a consequence of his ethnicity.
That is not true. On the contrary, for the first time, a senator from the margins of our country has been a strong finalist for the deputy president position of a major coalition that is about to win the election. That is historic. It confirms, Waiga, it confirms that in this country, it really doesn't matter where you come from anymore. It confirms that the use of ethnicity to mobilize politics is a paradigm whose time is up. The more reason why...
Despite those who feel that ultimately ethnicity is what...
Not really. How come I am from Tharaka Nithi? If you look at the maths, Tharaka Nithi is, in terms of population, the one with the least population in Mount Kenya.
Which some say may have been the reason.
The support I got, remember the opinion polls, were countrywide. The people who polled in my favor, most of them were from the Kikuyu-speaking part of Mount Kenya. In the Electoral College, the most, supportive members of parliament and senators were not from Tharaka Nithi, they were not from what you are calling East or West. They were from the direction where my brother Rigathi Gachagua comes from. That proves that actually our party has trailblazed. In fact, just I know we are short of time, that should explain why William Ruto, who doesn't come from Central Kenya, enjoys fanatical following. It means our brothers and sisters from the Kikuyu part of Mount Kenya especially, and indeed the Mount Kenya generally, have decided to help this country destroy and dismantle ethnicity as the organizing principle of our politics.
Okay, another challenge.
Being from Tharaka Nithi and being a finalist should speak volumes about the future of people who feel they have the talent to lead, but where they come from or where they were raised is from either small counties or even marginal counties.
Senator, this is the first time we've had you on the program, so I'll try getting a few more questions. We don't know when we'll next have you on the program as well. Yeah. And this is in regards to the economy. And you've been, front and center in Jubilee, for the last almost 10 years now. As part of the government, which Deputy President William Ruto still remains in, do you take any responsibility for the state of the economy today?
I don't, for the following reasons. During the first term of Jubilee, it is true that the country borrowed quite a bit, for example. We met the debt at 1.8 trillion. Mm-hmm. We raised it to 4.5 trillion in 5 years. Actually, by 2017, it was 4.5 trillion, sorry. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. During the first term also, there were significant achievements in terms of infrastructure. For example, TTIs. We were able to build nearly 130 technical training institutes in 5 years across the country in 130 constituencies.
Do you know what many remember about the first term?
Yes.
They remember the term Sky Team, group of politicians moving around the country, and you are said to be a member of that.
Yes.
And some say when the Sky Team was in control, that is when a lot of things went wrong in regards to our economy.
I will not, I'm not privy to the team you're talking about.
You were not a member of any?
Whoever, I don't even think there was anything like that. Those were, I think, would be rumors or the political gossip, whatever it is. But I would like to challenge anyone, whether it is not true 130 TTIs were built during the first term, whether it's not true the SGR was built in was not built in the first term, whether it is true or not that during the first term, mm-hmm. much of the 7,000 kilometers of tarmac were built during that first term. I want to challenge the person who is talking about Sky Team and other distractions.
Let me then...
Now, during the second term, the program of Jubilee was the big four: housing, manufacturing, food security, and universal health coverage. I am a sad Kenyan. And you know, immediately after the election, President Uhuru decided to break our party. He invited the opposition. He chased all his friends and those who have loyally stood with him over the years, even when nobody, when his popularity was not as it was. So when he got his second term, he got fed up with all of us, including his deputy, chased all of us, invited the opposition. And the big four agenda, I want to challenge those who are supporting President Uhuru Kenyatta now to tell me how many houses under the housing program have been built in the last 5 years, mm-hmm. What is the status of food security, universal health coverage, and manufacturing.
What we will do is when we get a minister from one of those dockets, we'll ask them that.
Kindly.
I still want to take you back to the first 5 years because the wing of, well, no longer wing of Jubilee, Kenya Kwanza, many of whom served in government then, when they say they were in charge, the first term stands out for many as the term when numerous corruption scandals came to the limelight. Mafia house scandal, NYS, so to speak. That's what many Kenyans remember about the first 5 years, Senator. So the picture you paint of the first 5 years, as rosy as it seems, differs to a section of society. How do you explain that disconnect?
Corruption is a big problem in our country. During the first term, there were incidences of corruption. Incidences
is to put it lightly, Senator.
During the second term, there have been incidents of corruption.
Some say even fewer than the first term.
Worse, stealing of medicine, stealing of COVID material, some of which were being, I'm told 2 weeks ago there was a cabinet meeting to try and ratify disposal of COVID material, something that I'm told happened 2 years ago. So, you know, if you are looking for a scapegoat, it will not be the first term. If you're asking whether there were incidents of corruption in the first term, the answer is yes.
In 2016,
and in fact,
in 2016, Senator, since you're a man you're an academic.
Absolutely.
A geopol poll found out that at least 50% of Kenyans were concerned that the country was headed in the wrong direction.
Yes.
And their key concern was corruption in government. And I have that information. I can send it to you after this.
No, I believe you. I have no reason to doubt you.
Which Kenya is that in comparison to the Kenya you speak of today, of those first 5 years? Because that's the Kenya that Kenyans out there in the streets, the Bamamboga, the Boda Boda, were talking about in 2016, almost 5 years into the first 5 years of
As that
Jubilee
report you're referring to, has it also captured the fact that between 2018 March and now, President Uhuru Kenyatta and his brother, as he calls him, Raila Odinga, have borrowed 7.5 trillion shillings? This country is about to be wound up. I don't know whether that report has captured that. Then you'll try and understand the kind of damage the death of a vibrant opposition has caused this country in the last 4 years. I really hope when Kenya Kwanza win, we shall have a formidable opposition to check on us, make sure that there are checks and balances, and make sure that we are accountable government. The kind of opaque government we've seen in the last 4 years is inimical to democracy. It has caused us pain like no other. So we really hope that we will get a good opposition, and President Uhuru and the Right Honorable Raila Odinga owes the future generations of this country an apology for destroying our democracy by killing the opposition.
Well, some would say that the entire grouping of Jubilee Party also need to have a conversation with Kenyans about the economy, Senator, but we're going to have to wrap it up there. If we go back and forth, we could be here until very late. And I want to thank you for your time today and coming to shed light on current political developments and to clarify to many Kenyans who may have been perturbed by some of the statements you've made recently. We've had Senator Kithure Kindiki, and thank you so much for everyone who's weighed in. The Senator, two-time Senator, Tharaka Nithi, shedding light on his political future, some of the statements that he's made, and of course that high-stakes bid for the running mate position for Deputy President William Ruto and what happened in regards to that. Thank you so much for your feedback, your comments, your questions. We haven't been able to take all of them, but we do appreciate you watching Newsnight this evening. Now, on behalf of the whole team that's made this broadcast possible, this is where we wind it up. My sign language interpreter this evening has been Joki Shege. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, every Tuesday here on Newsnight, we endeavor to get decision makers' opinions